Well, joining me now is Alf Cannan for Ayre and Michael, looking back on the most incredible 12 months, Mr. Cannan. I mean, who could have thought? And I've been starting these interviews by asking people what they think about how the government, which is, of course, you, part of you, did with the COVID. And of all people, your interview when we started those press conferences stood out because you were quite ashen, and we were trying to be chit-chatting. You said, no, this is really serious, before it started. I mean, can you take us through how you felt at that stage when the board is about to be shut down and all sorts of economic activity ceased for a while?
Well, I think I said the other day to a group of people I was having lunch with, it almost switched overnight. The day that Flybe collapsed brought home immediately the enormity of what we were dealing with, and from then on in for the next 6 probably 8 weeks, we were under intense pressure to deliver packages of support for businesses, for self-employed, to help those who were out of work or struggling to find work or on 0 hours, and also to put together a broader range of packages to help businesses particularly try and find a way through the whole scenario.
So we were you though, because it's about you, this interview. I mean, how did you feel?
Well, I think you're under, there's no getting away from it, you're under intense pressure, but look, at the end of the day, I've got a great team around me. I think everybody reacted incredibly positively, and in the end, you find a way to get through it. So
okay. Let's park all that to one side, and let's look at you and the last 12 months, or the whole session. Up to you. How do you think it's gone away from obviously this dramatic COVID situations?
Well, I don't think you can get away with discussing the last 12 months without looking at COVID, but certainly that's been the 6-month period. But you look previous to that, I think that broadly speaking, from a Treasury perspective, we were on track to deliver what we wanted to. We set out very clearly a strong financial plan for the 5-year period, and we were delivering on that plan. We were delivering on the objectives of that plan, effectively to correct the wrongs, if that's the right word, or to change the situation from probably a period of austerity during the periods 2011-2016 to try and put money back into people's pockets, try and get money to those who needed it most in our society, to put out well-structured programs to support the economy, both in terms of capital spending and in terms of the investments that we were making around the support going through Department for Enterprise. And I think on a number of fronts we had achieved that, and of course most importantly that public finances as a whole were stable and on track to deliver value for the public and to give confidence for the future. And I think on all those factors that we were on track to deliver. And of course COVID now has fundamentally changed the situation in terms of what we probably now will be expecting to deliver next year.
Okay, let's look at the whole period then for you, because being Treasury Minister, which is really the sort of number one position outside being Chief Minister, did you live up to what you wanted to do in general over that time?
Well, it's an incredible privilege to be, first of all, an MHK, and certainly a serious privilege to hold a position like Treasury Minister.
Yeah, but you wanted to be chair, didn't you? You wanted to be Chief Minister.
Well, I've valued every day that I've been Treasury Minister and continue to do so. It's a huge honour and privilege to have the island's trust in holding this position, and and I continue to value that incredibly as we move forward.
Okay, so things that stand out in the whole period or the last year, whatever, outside of what we just said, things that are good, things that haven't gone as well as you wanted to. I'm talking about you now, what you've been able to push through, and your beliefs and aspirations for that last.
Well, look, I think broadly speaking, you've got to really divide the year up into two, and you have to also remember in saying that really the budgetary process for the Treasury never, in all honesty, stops. Perhaps for a month or two directly after the budget, but you're very much into planning for next year, right from the sort of word go in early June. And that process runs through almost until Christmas, and there's a lot to get through, a lot of departmental negotiations, a lot of bids to assess, a lot of presentations both within Treasury but also to groups such as the Council of Ministers to win their approval before you actually then get to the floor of Tynwald. So it's been a busy period. I think actually we've achieved a significant amount of what I wanted to achieve. I mean, you look at the key milestones along the way of what we've done. We've set took the very bold step right in the first year to take off 90 odd million pounds worth of MUA debt to stabilise the utility bills for people on the island. We've purchased the steam packet to secure our national strategic sea links. We've introduced the Sir Jonathan Michael report, which very much started as a Treasury project to try and understand what was needed to provide the health and care service. And of course, we've been very much involved with the climate change programme. So all these projects are now being rolled out very much. And in the final year of the administration, we'll give a significant platform for the next government and Tynwald to deliver, I hope, far better healthcare, much better transport options, and of course for climate change.
Sure. Any frustrations though? Things that haven't been able to push hard enough, or things you still. We'll come to this part 2 in a minute about the future, but things that haven't gone your way.
Well, I think there's always frustrations when you're in the role of Treasury Minister. I think it is a frustration when capital projects don't run as to what the plan was, when there's overspending, when you feel that actually things are slightly outside your control and are not going to the plan that was initially presented. So they're always frustrating. But I'm always for trying to look forward, to try and find solutions and to try and improve things. So yes, there's always frustrations behind the scenes, but broadly speaking, I do believe that we have set a clear programme of achievement in terms of what was needed from the budget, and we have also delivered some key milestones which set out both in the programme of government, but also that I personally wanted to do as an MHK for the betterment of the island, for the betterment of the people.
Does the steam packet stand out as a sort of thing that you will be remembered for? Because that came really was from your department, wasn't it? And was it you personally? I mean, that started that ball rolling?
Not a personal thing at all, but very much, when one examined the position and started to look at what the negotiations involved and the overall time frames that were involved around the ownership and indeed the stability of the owners and what was likely to happen had we agreed a deal, I think coming to a conclusion with the council that we should actually move forward and try and purchase the company as a serious option for the island was something that I was both very involved with, certainly led on, and of course ultimately the responsibility for negotiating that fell to the Treasury.
And you're happy with what's happened? Did it all work out as you expected? Or you've got a new ship to order, you've got the Liverpool docks.
Look, again, like everything else, COVID is going to cause some ripples with the Isle of Man Steam Packet Company in terms of the short term, and we will need to sort that out once we understand the picture better. And the whole thing about this crisis is getting an understanding of what the damage is and how we recover from that. But broadly, it was absolutely the right decision from the steam packet perspective. We're still pressing ahead with the plans, still building a new ship, and I know that for many, many years to come, the island will be in a much, much better position having ownership and effectively control over the steam packet than having it run by corporate investors and corporate raiders.
Does it make you want to have a national airline?
Look, I've always said that I'm not beyond considering these things. My stated position was that actually we are well served at the moment. I know Open Skies has its flaws, but broadly speaking, I've been happy with what has happened in the last few years, particularly with EasyJet. Yes, it's not perfect, but what situation is perfect? I think one of the advantages, obviously, running to having somebody else running it in the style that perhaps EasyJet and Flybe and others do. There's price competition. Effectively having it in private hands means that the businesses have got to perform themselves, that they want to keep customers, and if there's other options on the table, and of course if you nationalise something or bring it under government ownership in the way potentially the steam packet is, then there's always questions about quality, price, etc.
Quickly in this last section on the first bit, being constituency MHK and doing this, how have you found it? Splitting things. I mean, I
think when you take on a role as big as the Treasury, there's potentially some impact on your constituent, your ability to deliver as much, perhaps, visibility in the constituency. But no, constituency duties are hugely important, and people contact me all the time with constituency issues, and I do my very best to try and resolve and sort out their problems. So it remains a big part of my life, and frankly really is the driver for everything that you do.